Hi guys, it's Kirsten and welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you the mid-year book freakout tag. I wasn't tagged by anybody to do this, I just thought it would be a lot of fun and a good way to start talking about the books that I've already read. So my reading goal on Goodreads this year was 52 books. I thought that this was really good, really reasonable. It would average out to one book a week, and that way I could have busy weeks and slow weeks. However, I did not account for the fact that I would be driving like an hour and a half every day to and from work, and that when you listen to audiobooks in the car, that means you burn through a lot of books. So I am currently on my 65th book of the year. I finished my reading goal like in March, which was just ridiculous. I should probably pick a new goal, my bad. But yeah, so I've read a lot of books. There's a lot of books to choose these random favorites from. So sometimes I can't pick only one for each category. I just can't do it. I'm not strong enough, okay? I'm just not. I'm sorry. Fight me. But yeah, let's just get straight to it. Number one is best book you've read so far this year. This is one that I did not really actually have to think about because it is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I can't believe I didn't read this last year when everybody was talking about it and it was just being so hyped up. I bought it right away, and I just didn't get to it because I was waiting to be in just like the perfect mood to be able to like handle this heavy of a concept. It was amazing. This book was absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that I did finally get to it. It will probably be my favorite book of the year. I'm sure everybody knows what it is about, but just in case you don't, it revolves around the Black Lives Matter movement. We follow our protagonist Star, who is with a friend of hers when he is shot and killed by a police officer. While a lot of people seem to have a problem with this book because it might demonize police officers or anything like that, I just don't think that's the case. While it definitely does show that there is a reality behind the problem of police brutality, it definitely more focuses on the like structure of racism in society, and this was amazing. I can't believe that some places are banning this book because it was like outstanding. It was so good, and it should be required reading in schools, honestly. I do have two other favorite books this year that maybe if The Hate U Give wasn't on the list, either of these could have ended up being my favorite book of the year, and that is Cat and Meg Conquer the World by Anna Primaza and Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. These were both so good. Cat and Meg revolves around two female teens. One is a black teen with ADHD and the other is a white teen with an anxiety disorder who just had to move across the country with her family to be closer to her sick grandfather. This was amazing. It was just so good. The anxiety disorder is Own Voices rep, and while the ADHD disorder is not Own Voices, it definitely was well researched, well handled. I absolutely loved both of these characters. This was just such a good debut novel that I absolutely adored, and I definitely recommend it to anybody looking for a happy, fun, contemporary for the summer. The other one, which was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, this book, you guys, this book. Simon and Baz are my sweet little sons, my precious little cupcakes, and I will love this book for the rest of my life. If you are as excited for Wayward Sons as I am, please come and talk to me in the comments because I just need somebody to be as excited as I am. Number two is the best sequel you've read so far this year. I have not read very many sequels this year. I think I've only read probably a small handful. However, it wouldn't matter because if I had read 40 sequels or 3 sequels, the answer would probably still be the same, and that is Obsidio by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. That book was a trip. I will not say anything about the plotline because it is the third book, so I do not want to give away any spoilers. I don't have a copy to hold up because I listened to the audiobook and got the physical book out from the library, but I will figure out a way to put the cover on this video somehow. Other people do it, so I'll find a way. It'll be fine. That was an amazing book. It was a great conclusion. It was so good. Everybody needs to read the Illuminae files because they're amazing. With an honorable mention going to the second book of the Daughter and the Pirate King, which was Daughter of the Siren Queen, and that book was also just incredibly good. Number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet, but definitely want to. Children of Blood and Bone. I don't know why I haven't read this. I really, really want to. I cannot wait to read it. I own this physical copy right here in my hands. I could read it right now. That's literally, it's just right here and I could start reading it. I could stop filming and just read this book, and I haven't. And I don't know why I haven't. I'm coming for you, Children of Blood and Bone. Number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. There's too many. I can't pick just one. Also, I'm not 100% positive what comes out at the end of this year versus what comes out in the beginning of next year. But I just watched everybody's BookCon videos and I am just so excited for so many books. Like Wildcard, the sequel to Warcross. Also, Muse of Nightmares, which is the sequel to Strange the Dreamer. The Wicked King, and What If It's Us, and the Queen of Air and Darkness, and a lady's guide to, oh man, Petticoats and Piracy? Or Piracy and Petticoats? What is the lady's guide to? Oh boy, either way, the sequel to A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. There are just so many books that I cannot wait for. Number 5 is your biggest disappointment. This one is hard because I have read some absolutely amazing books this year. I haven't really been disappointed with anything I've read. I think I've given everything above like a 3.5 star rating on Goodreads so far this year. But I probably have to go with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which I know everybody's gonna absolutely hate me for. This is my second video and I'm already just gonna like alienate so many people. And it's not even that I didn't like this book. I actually did really like this book. I think I still gave it like 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. It's just that it wasn't what I wanted it to be. It was just so hyped up and so many people told me to read it, and it came so highly recommended that I think I ended up reading it with just too high of expectations. But it was still a wonderful book. It was a very beautifully written book, but the story itself was just slow, and while it was very beautifully written and all of the scenes were beautifully written, it wasn't what I wanted the plot line to be out of this really hyped up circus book. Number 6, your biggest surprise. This has to go to one of either 2 books, either Witchwood by Tahira Mafi, because I was so shocked when I ended up reading this, because right after Furthermore, which was just so flowery and light and middle grady and happy and like cute to read, I picked up Witchwood, and it was just not those things. It was, I mean, it was all of those things, but it was also just kind of like dark, and it handled heavier topic matters, and it was kind of scary in parts. Like I full on had a nightmare after reading this about like spiders, and it was just much darker than I was expecting it to be. I was very, very surprised, but I ended up absolutely loving it. I think I gave it 5 stars. My second most surprising read so far this year is definitely Geekerella by Ashley Poston, which I also do not yet own a physical copy of. They were releasing ARCs on NetGalley for it when the paperback edition was coming out, and so I received an ARC and ended up reading it, and I did not walk into it with very high expectations. I wanted to read it because it was just being talked about all over the place and it was just getting really, really, really good reviews. But I did not expect to love it. Retellings are not often my thing, and if a retelling was going to be my thing, I never would have guessed a Cinderella retelling to be my thing. But I read it and I ended up absolutely loving it. The characters were amazing, the storyline was really good, it's still really well handled the topic of this abusive family relationship, but I read it just after going to my 4-day Comic-Con here in the city where I live, and so I ended up just reading it at exactly the right time, and it just brought back all of these great like memories of being really into Star Trek and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings while growing up, and I ended up just really, really, really enjoying it, even though I wasn't expecting to. So if you haven't read Geekerella because you're afraid of it being a Cinderella retelling, you should definitely still pick it up because it was just so cute and the characters were so amazing. And number 7 is your favorite new author. I can take this in one of either 2 ways. My favorite new author definitely has to be Angie Thomas, because This book was just so good. I've already pre-ordered On the Come Up. I cannot wait for anything that she writes for the rest of forever. But if we do it in a new to me author, this year I read Becky Albertalli for the first time. I started with Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and then read The Upside of Unrequited, and I was already hooked. I already knew I was going to read anything that Becky Albertalli came out with. So I got Leah on the Offbeat as soon as it came out because I wanted this fancy signed first edition copy, and I loved all of them. I am hooked. I will read anything that Becky Albertalli comes out with. I cannot wait for What If It's Us, the book that she wrote with Adam Silvera. I'm ready to cry. Number 8 is your newest fictional crush. This one was kind of hard. I don't really like crush on book characters the way that I used to, but if I had to pick one, I would definitely pick Luca from Daughter of the Burning City. I loved this book so much. I just finished it like 3 days ago, and I think it was honestly everything that I wanted out of the Night Circus. Like, the plot line was amazing, the magic was amazing, the rules just for this entire like fictional world were so good. I absolutely loved all of the characters that were in it, but for my bookish crush of being Luca, he was just really like sweet and loyal while also being like sarcastic and kind of an asshole, and so I really liked him. I picked this book up this month for the Ace representation as I was participating in the tag that I created on my Instagram, the Pride Month book tag. And I really ended up loving the ace representation in this book. Luca is an asexual demi-romantic character, and that just came across so well in this book. And then number 9 is your favorite new character. My favorite new character is most definitely Leah from Leah on the Offbeat. This book, you guys, it was everything that I wanted it to be. I had high such expectations. I had such high expectations when I picked this book up, and I was not let down at all. I loved Leah. She is everything that I want out of female protagonists. She was just so unapologetic about being 110% herself, and I absolutely loved it. Leah is a plus-size character, and she describes herself as being a Slytherin. She was a drummer, and in this book she comes out as being bisexual, and I just love her. Number 10 is A Book That Made You Cry. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Adam Silvera is a monster. Number 11 is A Book That Made You Happy. A book that made me happy is Quiet Girl in a Noisy World. This is a cute little memoir told in graphic novel format, all about just like the life and struggles of being an introverted person. This book definitely made me happy. It was super cute, and I just identified with like the entire thing. Number 12 is your favorite book to movie adaptation that you've seen so far this year. My definite favorite has to go to Love, Simon, the movie adaptation of Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, because it was just so beautiful. The movie was fantastic. Everything about it was absolutely amazing. But I would definitely also have to mention as a close second best, Ready Player One, because the rare thing happened where I actually think I may have enjoyed the movie more than the book, which just is outstanding, and it never happens. I know, I absolutely love the book. I didn't hate the book in any sort of way. I think I gave the book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really liked it, but I loved the movie. And then number 13 is your favorite video that you've made so far this year, and I am going to have to go with this one, which is kind of a cheating answer, but yeah. This is only my second video, and in the first one, it was the BookTube newbie tag. I only talked about myself, and in this one, I talk about books, so this is gonna end up being my favorite so far. Number 14 is the most beautiful book that you have bought so far this year, and this one is just too hard. I can't limit it. I can't, so I have 4 answers, which is too many answers, but I'm going with it anyways. So you can take the question in one of 2 ways. The book is beautiful because of the way that it is written, like the story is beautiful, or the physical book itself is beautiful. So if we're talking about the physical book itself being beautiful, I probably have to go with Burn Bright by Patricia Briggs. This book is the newest book in the Alpha and Omega series, which is a kind of a spin-off series. It's in the same world as the Mercy Thompson books, which is one of my favorite series of all time. I would probably say it's my favorite series of all time if Harry Potter didn't exist, which it does. So it has to be like bumped down just a little bit. But yeah, this book is gorgeous. Isn't it so pretty? I love it. I love it a lot. Another really gorgeous cover is the cover for Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I also loved this book. It was so good. If you don't know what it is about, it is set in a world with superheroes and villains, but our protagonist is a villain. And you should definitely read it. Everybody should read it because it was amazing, but the cover is also gorgeous. My next two books for this question are both physically beautiful and written really beautifully, and I'm gonna have to go with them for the answer for most beautiful books that I've written so far this year. Oh my god, I wish I'd written these books. But if I had to limit it down to the most beautiful books that I've bought so far this year, I would have to go with Furthermore and Witchwood by Tahira Mafi, because they are beautiful to look at, but they were also beautifully written. Furthermore is just so like flowery and pretty, and it just comes across almost like poetry. It's just so pretty to read. And then while Witchwood was much darker and like sadder and it covered heavier topics, it was also just like so gorgeously written. Everything that is in it you feel when you're reading it, but they are also just such pretty books. Like, they're just so pretty. I can't handle. Look at the pretty. These books are absolutely gorgeous, so I would have to definitely mention them. Number 15 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So many books, I can't list them. There's no possible way. I mean, I've read 64 books this year, but I haven't even made a dent in my TBR. I need to read everything that I mentioned in the books that are coming out in the second half of this year. And Children of Blood and Bone, I haven't read that. And oh man, just so many. I really want to read Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and I want to start Sarah J Maas's books because I haven't read any of them. So many. I need to read so many books. Too many books. So little time. That was the mid-year book freakout tag. I had a lot of fun filming this video, even though it was incredibly hard. If you loved any of these books as much as I did, or you think I should prioritize any of my TBR that I mentioned, feel free to leave it in the comments below. But yeah, I hope you liked this video, and I will see you soon for the next one. I've said bye so many times that it doesn't sound like a real word anymore. Bye. 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 I hope you like this video, and I will see you soon for the next one. Bye.